Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting day. It's nice here in Chicago. Welcome to the Princess Dempsey Show. And as always, I know sometimes, I be trying to take my little vacation, but my producers, they just won't let me do it. It's like, we got to go back on. We got stuff to talk about. And, I cover the proviso area. I cover a lot of stuff. I talk about, pretty much education, what's going on in the villages, what's going on in the park district, because I really feel that you need to know. And we like to get factual data on my show. Or I like to bring people on who's not afraid to speak up, who's really want change, but they just need a platform. Well, we're here to give that platform at the Princess Dempsey Show. Whether you like it or not, we're going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth on this show. We're not going to sugarcoat it. I don't have a script. We don't do that here. But I want to thank everybody for subscribing, and just hit the subscribe and the like button so you can get notifications. So my producers can do that. Now, my producers not in Illinois; they are California producers. Yes, they are. So they know what to do and how to do what they do. So, like I said, if you want to see more of the show, we're going to be trying to film on Sundays because it's easier for everybody, even for our guests. So today, as everybody know, I was the former board president of Lindop Elementary. Now, Lindop is our baby school from kindergarten to 8th grade, but the big school is Proviso Township. It's District 209. So today I have one of, I'll say, the most boisterous, bravest member who stepped up to the plate not because he didn't know what to do. He wanted to see the change. He was an agent of change. And he's like my brother from another mother. I promise you, he has a heart for the school. So I would like to introduce my guest today, Mrs. Rodney Alexander. My producer, go ahead and bring him in. Hey, Mr. Alexander.
Good afternoon, sister. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. You're looking all good. Got your little tie and everything.
It's Sunday and I'm live and I'm on here with you. So I just, threw on something.
Exactly. Well,
I got
I know.
swim
Can you
trunks
tell us?
underneath here.
Yes. I love Mr. Rodney. So tell us a little about you, Mr. Rodney.
Okay. Well, my name is Rodney Alexander, as you said. I came to the Proviso area in '94, but I wasn't involved in any of the politics or whatever. I'm from the south suburbs, actually.
Okay.
I grew up in Hazel Crest. My parents are still out there. Got involved with Black Star Community PTA when I lived in Chicago prior to moving to Bellwood, and I worked as with Phil Jackson, rest in peace, strong brother, educationally driven. Worked with his community PTA for 3 years as the president of that. So when I moved from Chicago to Bellwood, I was like, okay, I'm not serving in Chicago and running back here. Let me get involved out here. My good friend Mike Burries had a son at West, at Proviso West, which is one of our high schools. So I got involved with the Parent and Community Engagement Committee.
Okay.
I didn't come out here to run for anything, just to be socially active, because I tend to believe and know that a lot of things going on in our communities and our schools don't have to be. It just doesn't have to be. But we'll get into that. So that's what brought me here. I went to the Parent and Community Engagement Committee meeting and was asked to run for the board. I told them to stop cussing at me. I don't do politics. I had heard some things about the school board out here that were just unsettling, and that wasn't my intent at all. After 2 more times, and after meeting with one of our matriarchs out here that I just love to death, Miss Teresa Kelly, and understood her struggle and what she had been trying to do for decades. I was like, okay, if you guys think that I can contribute, I tend to believe that I can, but if you really want me to contribute, I will. Like you said, Princess, I don't do politics. I'm not going downtown to get across the street. We have to speak truth to power. Absolutely. And not be so politically inclined that we lose sight of the vision and the mission. And that's to improve our schools, which we can have decent schools in a predominantly Black community. It is possible.
Absolutely. I agree 110%. And thank you so much for your intro. So now we got a little history about you. And so how long have you been serving on Proviso 209 now?
I was elected in 2017, so I'm going on my 8th year now of my 2nd term.
Wow. So what changes? Because it has changed a lot. What about I'm going to start with, and I have to say this, the hiring practice, because when I did my research, you guys have 4 superintendents.
Okay, so you're jumping way ahead to this year.
Okay.
You said something about the changes. So when I was elected, we were elected in what was called a movement. It was really a movement, and I see
Mm,
that we have a glance or a glimpse of what the community can do when they
right.
want change.
Mm-hmm.
And when the right people are pushing that change, you'll get change. And that's exactly what we did. These folks
Okay.
over here, I moved back to Bellwood in 2014. I ran in 2017. I did not go to school here. Proviso Township is a family
Mm-hmm.
knit. A lot of people that are from here, grew up here, went to these schools, and still
Absolutely.
participate and live in the community. A great legacy of Black history in
Yeah.
the Proviso footprint. And I've always appreciated that. Love Maywood to death. I love Maywood. Its history is so rich. All the way
Mm-hmm.
back to Harriet Tubman. A lot of folks don't even understand. There's a lot of Black history in that little town, and all of the other ones also. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that movement and the encouragement of the folks that thought that I could contribute led me to run. And I've got to mention, and I don't do it enough,
Mm-hmm.
Connie Brown and those folks over in Forest Park that organized and pushed and raised the money and did the leg work to really get behind Teresa Kelly. And we flipped the board. It's an election of every 2 years. In 2 years, you'll have three people getting elected. In the other 2 years, you'll have four. Well, in the first 3 years, in 2015, Teresa, Ned, and Claudia won, thanks to 209 together, D209 together. And then the next 2 years, they ran the four of us, and we won. So we literally flipped
And
the
who's the
board.
four? Who's the four of you guys that ran on the?
It was myself, Della Patterson, my sister, Sam Valtierrez, who is the current board president, and Amanda Grant. And the four of us ran, but we all ran together. We
Mm,
all ran under the same ticket, and it's still a little rough even when you do that. But within that process, we were able to do some of the great things that we've done in this district so far.
okay. And name some of the great things that you guys done.
Okay, so when we got here, there was a what's called a financial oversight
Right,
panel,
right.
which means that the district's finances were in such a disarray that every time the school board had a meeting and we approved things like the paying of the bills and the programs and stuff, it was not approved until the financial oversight panel went behind us a week
Mm,
later and approved it. And at any point in time, if they saw something in there that was not within our financial provisions,
hmm.
then they could chop down or overrule whatever the board did.
Wow.
That is a rare situation. From what I understand, they were here for at least 8 to 10 years prior to us getting elected. They left in 2019.
Wow.
And by 2019, under the leadership of Dr. Jesse Rodriguez, great superintendent, he came up with a financial plan and put some people around him to where we were able to develop a 5-year financial plan, which is one of the requirements for the FOP leaving. Not only that, they were able to come up with a process to bring the schools into the 21st century. We had what's called health, life, safety issues, which are things that must be accomplished every so many years to keep the school doors open that hadn't been done in almost 30 years. So the buildings were they weren't bad, but they weren't good. They weren't where they were supposed to be. And anybody familiar with Proviso Township, look at our taxes, look at our property taxes, and look at how much money we spend, which goes into the school district. So for the money that the people are spending and being taxed, the schools should be up to par. We were
Absolutely.
able to come up with about a good 70 some odd million, which we've spent to put air conditioner at East and West. They never had air conditioning in the history of the schools. Those schools now have air conditioning on all 3 floors. The stadium at Proviso West ran behind the stands. The track field was not even up to state code. We have a brand new track and field over there, brand new auto shop at Proviso East, brand new state-of-the-art culinary lab at Proviso East, and still working on some things. Brand new machine shop at Proviso West, brand new indoor track at Proviso West. And Proviso West is one of the only schools, collegiate or high schools, that has an indoor track in the Northern Illinois area.
Wow.
We're one of the only schools that has an indoor track of that stature. We were able to do that. Goodness gracious, it's so much stuff. With the finding of the finances, we were able to increase the 8-period day to East and West. That was only at our selective enrollment school, which is Proviso Math and Science Academy. We have 3 high schools in the district. So Proviso Math and Science Academy was National Blue Ribbon a few years ago. It was ranked 6th in the state last year out of 800 and, oh, no, I'm saying 823 districts. Out of all of the high schools in the state of Illinois, U.S. News and World Report ranked Proviso Math and Science Academy number 6. And that's out of the whole state. So these are things that when you have the right leadership in place and they work with the right superintendent, you can move these things forward.
That's very interesting you say that, because so many people wanted to, of course, challenge the board and change the board, but they don't know all the good things that you guys have already done. They don't get the reports that, hey, we're moving in the right direction. They're so busy wanting to chase people out or run people against the board and not knowing that you guys are doing exactly what the residents and the people have asked you to do.
You want, I used to say when I was board president from 2020 to 2022, don't come in the kitchen and see how things are done if you can't stomach the heat. Just enjoy the meal. Just enjoy the meal. Even though we sent out under Dr. James Henderson, we sent out weekly reports of everything that I've just told you to all parents and those politicians that wanted it. People don't, pay too much attention to that. But let an untruth be told. The politics of personality. I tell folks all the time, you really have to judge us by our work. But I understand how you can't do that if you don't know what that is. And the foundational things that I'm talking about that are required, operations is required to talk about anything in the classroom. If you don't have your finances in order, if your schools are not up to par or comfortable learning environments, we're not even getting to the point where we can start talking about learning. But we got those things out of the way in short fashion. Like I said, I got elected in 2017. The FOP left 2 years later. They were out of here because we had a board that was working together and a superintendent that knew what he was doing. You have to have those ingredients. When you have a split board, when you have people that are not in the same mindset as to what needs to be done, you're not getting anything done in your education. And I think one of the issues in Proviso, which compared to other school districts and things that I've researched and looked at, it's a hard road to toe over here. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to take, but not realizing, and I tell folks this all the time, and I look at them, I was like, so why were your schools like this when I got here in 2014 if you know what needs to be done? I didn't grow up here. I didn't go here.
And what's their response?
Right. No, they can't say anything. So you want to talk to me now because I raised my hand to try to help. And you want to talk to me like I'm accountable for the situation that brought Rodney Alexander, somebody that was here for 3 years, nobody knew. And I'm sitting here doing the work. We're doing the work as the board, and now everybody got something to say. Dempsey, we didn't even run on putting air conditioning in the schools.
I know. I see.
Let me tell you how many folks had a problem with how we were doing it when we were. I was like, whoa. This wasn't even something that we talked about. Right. Now we're doing it, and you want to complain about the fact that we're putting air conditioning. How long is it going to? All of these things we worked out and included the community in the facilities master plan, of which we had to have a 5-year. That had to be funded too before the FOP left.
Right.
But they didn't just leave because they got tired. They left because we finally got our stuff together, and they saw the board working within its parameters the way it was supposed to with the superintendent.
Right.
When you have a board working against your superintendent, you're not the only person that works for the board is the superintendent. It would be who, and our most important job is to hire that person, which is going to get me to where we need to be in a second. But when you're doing the work, it's very disheartening, especially when you're not a politician. I will go on record and say I had a part-time job at Mercy Home for Boys when they asked me to run, working 30 hours a week. I gave that job up to be on this board. Now that's money.
Yes, it is.
We don't get paid to be on the school board. I don't say that for a pat on the back. I knew what I was doing. I say that that's how much I believe that we can fix these schools. So I would tell people I got to get $30,000 worth of results every year for it to make sense to me and my family. I didn't come here to be a politician. And this is why I don't get along with that. I'm not kissing the ring. Just let me do what I was elected to do and judge me on that. I'm not showing up to your Democrat this. I'm not going over. No, I raised my hand for the school board. That's it. That's all. I'm not here. You ain't got to call my name. I have no political aspiration. But folks don't understand that because Proviso can be a political place. And I'm not trying to rub anybody the wrong way. I'm trying to help fix your schools. That's all I'm here for. And then when that's done, I'm moving on, going back to my life. I don't know why the Lord put me in this position. He knows I hate politics and stuff because there's just so many things that you have to consider that I don't know if I have in my purview as a black man to even think about. I can't do it. You got to have some integrity. You got to be a man of your word. You got to know what you're doing. You don't build your shield on the field. In front of me, I've got Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. We'll talk about that. I've got The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. We'll talk about that. Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington's book. I've got Marcus Garvey's Message to the People. We've got so much information that has been given to us as to how to do this. So I'm not doing anything off the cuff. And of course, at the end of the day, but the beginning of the day, I've got my Bible. So I'm not doing anything new. I'm following what Carter G. Woodson said in 1933, 91 years ago, we needed to be doing. This is not new stuff. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote Powernomics in 2001 and laid out a roadmap with a couple of other books holistically as to what we needed to do. Ask the average person if they've read any of these books, but everyone has an opinion.
Right.
Everyone has an opinion, and I'm sorry, I can't think of one time in our history in this country or in the world where someone's opinion moved us anywhere. As a people, it doesn't work. It requires some unity, and some unity. You don't have to like Rodney. I got my fraternity, my family, and I didn't come over here to make new friends. I came over here to raise my family, die and go to heaven. In the process, I'm going to serve wherever I am.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sit back and watch my people suffering, knowing that the Lord has given me a gift to help, just out of love, knowing what to do. We've done some great things on this board. I'm proud to have served on the board. What's coming up next, I don't know, because like I said, elections have consequences. When people decide that they want to go backwards, then I don't have any control of that. If you don't want to vote for me, then I'm not sitting here. And that's fine with me. I didn't come over here to be voted for. I just came over here to serve on a committee. I didn't come over here to knock on doors or ask anybody to do nothing for me. I came over here to serve, not be served. So I have a problem, when folks come up to me talking about, I'm not voting for you. I'm like, thank you. I could care less whether you vote.
You actually said that?
You ain't doing me no favors. I mean, it's amazing how with the people who, and this is the country, so this is a national narrative. People think that they're doing you a favor to volunteer your time to help them. That mentality has to change.
Right.
I get nothing out of this personally. There's nothing in this for me. It ain't gonna go on no resume. It ain't gonna help me in life move forward. And they asked me 3 times to run, Princess. I didn't ask them. I didn't go asking anybody about how to get on the school board. I didn't want to be on the school board. So you come with that type of mentality. And Teresa Kelly said the reason that they wanted me on the board was because I didn't want to be there. Now go figure. My sister said, we wanted you because you didn't want to be there. Because 9 times out of 10, people that want to be there,
right,
have some agendas, or some, not everyone, but the majority of us on this board did not want to be on this board. We worked together, we worked through our ups and downs and stuff, and those are just a few of the things. African American history is a requirement for graduation in Proviso Township. There's probably not a school in the state of Illinois or the country where you have to take a semester of African American history to graduate. It may be an elective. That was us. That was this school board. And there's some things that we can do, but the elephant in the room is the test scores. The
Hmm.
elephant in the room is the learning. See, once you do all the air conditioning and the new this and new that and new that, you got to now deal with the test scores, the preparation for life in college. And that's where we were headed in 2020.
Let's talk about some of these test scores because your teachers, when I looked at the record, the absentee is very high at District 209 for teachers not showing up to work. Can you
50,
talk to me about that?
yeah, 52%, according to School Digger, 52% of our teachers. Now, the Illinois School Board of Education says if a child misses more than 10 days a year, they
Mhm.
are classified as chronically truant. That's a truant issue. So that's saying that our students cannot miss
10
more
days.
than 10 days in a school year or less, unless now they're qualified or classified as chronically truant.
Mhm.
52% of our teachers, this is according to School Digger, and you can Google this. You can Google
I
School
did.
Digger,
I did.
District 20. This ain't Rodney making up no numbers. I ain't got nothing to do with this report. School Digger says 52% of our teachers in Proviso miss more than 10 days a year.
Unbelievable.
So when you look at the mentality of our students, if my teacher is not there, and
Right.
nothing against substitutes, thank God for them, but we don't hold substitutes accountable for we're paying teachers with a teacher shortage now nationwide. So there's a teacher shortage nationwide. We've not had a teacher shortage in the almost 8 years I've been on the board. We've never had a shortage of teachers. We have a shortage of teachers coming to work. So what we were doing in 2020, when we hired, we got together as a board, all 7 of us, and we said as a board, we want to deal with this union contract and with what's going on in the classrooms. Now, mind you, we inherit
Mm-hmm.
8 to 9 years of miseducation on the high school level. These kids have been through kindergarten all the way to the 8th grade, some of them, and they come to us 60% below the 9th grade level in reading, math. So that's what we inherit at Proviso Township. We have nothing to do with that. That's what's coming to us. I've often asked, Princess, and I haven't seen a foundation school board, of the which there's 7 different foundation school boards that get as much attention as the high school does. And I say to myself, well, don't people understand that all of this attention needs to be in kindergarten, in preschool? By the time they get to us, we trying to, now granted, once they get to us, they're ours. And with Dr. James Henderson, we had a superintendent that understood that. I would never, short of telling the truth, I don't really care too much what the foundation schools do because I don't control that. I'm not there all day. They got their own governing bodies. They've got their own superintendents. They're responsible for what they're responsible for. But how many times are they going to tell you where they rank
Mm.
within the
Three.
823 school districts? And these are just the realities that we have to deal with. We have mayors that will, and I love my black mayors, and they will pick up the phone and call and ask us,
Right.
you preaching to the, because you have a school district in your town that is feeding us, but you over here talking to us like we're feeding you.
When their kids have never been to Proviso, by the way. They children have not been to Proviso.
I'm just saying, to the folks or whoever will listen to this,
Yes.
I don't have an action. There's no blame. I deal with accountability and responsibility,
Absolutely.
Princess. I
Absolutely.
don't deal with blaming. We ain't got time to
Absolutely.
be fighting. These kids don't have a tomorrow or a yesterday.
Absolutely.
So what we fail to do as adults, we fail them. And then when they go out there and can't be successful, that's our responsibility. And what are we saying in 2024? That we can't teach our children to read? I told PT Man, Proviso Township Ministers Alliance, which is a great organization of ministers in Proviso that comes together monthly and provides all kinds of resources and information for the community. They do their job. They do their work. They're outside the 4 walls of the church, engaging in the social, in the spirit of Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. And I told them, I was like, now I've been over here for 10 years this summer, since 2014. And I've been active since 2014. and the numbers haven't changed much since 2014. Now, I'm blessed and privileged and honored to give a report to PT Man every month on the state of education in the high schools. And every month I tell them what we need. Every month I tell them what their role and responsibility is in the accountability process of making sure our children are ready for college and career. But they'll come to our meeting and scream and yell about stuff that don't even matter. And then when we get a superintendent and a board that's working together,
They don't like that either.
you get a portion of the community to run a ticket against us.
Yeah.
And then we get to where you're talking about, whereas this past year, I don't even know. I have a son at one of the schools, and he struggled tremendously this year. It's been chaotic. It's been chaotic. We started off with Dr. Henderson. They came in and fired him. They ran on getting rid of the brother who had done nothing wrong, who was responsible for all of the money they're spending and everything, all of the advancements, all of the programs that he was working, all fine. They got rid of him because they didn't like him. We didn't hire him to be liked. We hired him to do the heavy lifting. And I got to plug my dear brother, Dr. James Henderson. When we hired him, we were looking as a board for someone to deal with the culture and climate of the district. We agreed as a board that teaching was not going on. And we agreed as a board that we needed to do something within our legislative power to get a superintendent in here with his executive power to change that.
Absolutely.
And we had 2 superintendent searches during COVID, the heat of COVID, summer of 2020, in person. We were meeting, risking our lives to get us a superintendent. We found Dr. James Henderson, who had a record of doing this, but to his credit, he warned us. The brother said, he said, listen, I can do what you're asking me to do. And mind you, the superintendent works for the board. He doesn't do anything without the blessings of his school board.
Absolutely.
He said, but he told us, he's like, you're going to probably end up with this, and this. He's like, it's going to be rough. He's like, you guys are asking for real change. And he said it to the entire board, and all 7 of us said yes.
Wow. Okay.
You had 2 people on the board flip on him. One of those people is white, and the other one passed for white. Princess, they maintained a hate campaign and a lie smear campaign on our dear brother for 2 years. Not one thing they said about this brother was true.
Interesting.
Not one thing. But at the same token, he kept producing. They tried to set the brother up, all kinds of crazy stuff. This is proviso, not just those 2 board members. This is proviso. This is your newspapers printing falsehoods against him.
What?
Yes, your Forest Park Review, your Village Free Press, printing all. You can go back and get the articles. They're all lies. Not one thing substantiated. The brother's a change agent. And Dr. Rodriguez told me this before he left. He says, listen, Hispanic and Black superintendents catch heck.
Wow.
Catch heck in these school districts. Now, you're going up against a teachers union that is 80+% white. Have been miseducating our students for years. I'm talking about the union. If you think I'm talking about teachers, I'm not even about to have that explain that to you.
Absolutely.
Because I don't do that. I don't say when cops are bad that there's some good cops too. I'm not about to placate you, and I don't care what you think. Okay, so if you think that Rodney's talking about teachers, God bless you. I'm talking about the union. And this only happens in Black communities. I just told them at the last board meeting. You know what the board just did? That they elected, the union did, that teachers went out there and campaigned for, that don't live in this district, because Dr. Henderson and this board was holding them accountable. All we said is come to work.
Right.
All we said is teach our students. We didn't ask for anything else. We asked for what we're paying you for. But there have been not teaching and not coming to work for so long. Change is hard. We didn't do anything wrong. Nobody stole any money. Nobody said y'all got to stand on one leg or we want you to change these numbers. We said do your part. We can't hold the students accountable if the teachers aren't there. We can't hold the students accountable If the union contract is saying that the administration can't go into the classrooms and observe whether there's teaching going on or not, they don't want that. But yet and still, you take our money and you want more of our money when you produce no results. Here's the lie. We know what we're getting from the foundation schools. If you can't teach to that population, then why are you applying over here? Go
Mhm.
somewhere else where you can teach to that population where maybe those numbers are more. It's nothing against you, it's just not a fit. But don't come over here and then get to complaining about the customers when you chose to come work here. We've got to put our heads together to figure out a way to make this work. There is no time to be complaining. They don't come with any types of solutions or anything. So this is what our board just voted on. And this is what the folks need to know. This needs to go viral.
It will.
I don't know any place in the world where you can go to work and have poor attendance and your boss pulls you in the office and says, well, Rodney, we're going to incentivize you. If you come to work and don't miss days, we'll give you more money.
Are you,
Find
are you serious?
yeah. Find me a white school district anywhere in this country where they do that. They only do that to us. But these are the people that the community elected, and now you're incentivizing the teachers to say, we're not that we're going to fire you or try to get you out of here, which is what we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hold your hand and allow you. And I spoke to the lawyer. I was like, you got to show me some evidence where this has ever worked in America, where any company worth its salt incentivizes bad behavior. I wish I could not come to work and have poor attendance on my job and only have to worry about being offered a bonus if I do. Why do I have to be motivated to do what I'm being paid to do? That's an
Mm-hmm.
issue. And that's what this board just voted on at our May meeting.
Yes.
That's the new contract. Yeah, with tons of money. Now, the school digger says that we have an attendance problem. This board's response to that is to give them more money, more privileges, and less responsibility. That was the response. But see, you can't really be upset about it because this is who elections have consequences. So when you have people that are paid for, if you ever see somebody running for something that's endorsed by the teachers union, don't vote for them. Don't vote for them. There's a conflict of interest. The teachers union's job is to make sure that we stick to the contract. That's it, that's all. You don't tell us how to educate our children. You don't tell us what we're supposed. No, that's not your role. But in politics now, and in Chicago, you see it in Chicago all the time. And these other little districts like ours see Chicago doing it, and they want to do the same thing. And they just did in this last election. They just did. Can't hold teachers accountable. Can't suspend a teacher. They bring them right back. If you get the right people to elect you, it's politics. But what does that have to do with our students? How does that help our community? How does that help decrease our tax base because we can't get no businesses over here or
Right.
no, because our schools are so bad? How does that change the ratings in our schools? It doesn't. But that's the current state that we're in right now. And it takes 4 votes on a board to get anything done, and they got the 4 votes now. They got the 4 votes, and under this new board, they've had 3 superintendents in 1 year. In 1 year, watch this. Out of the 3, no shade to them. They stepped forward and they tried. None of them have any superintendent experience.
No endorsements, huh?
No, and they got the endorsement to hold the position. They have no experience.
Oh, wow.
They have no experience. So when Dr. Rodriguez left in 2020, we had Mr. Dan Johnson serve as interim. The interim superintendent's job is just to hold the line until we get a real superintendent. You have no experience to advise us or recommend too much of anything other than status quo. But
Mm.
if you're trying to create change and vision, you're not even going to be there. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Your job is to maintain until we get a qualified superintendent that the board hires. That's an interim. You have no experience. These superintendents have negotiated a 4-year contract. and are still negotiating contracts. And I brought it up at the board meeting. You've never done this before. Why don't we just wait until we get a superintendent? In 2020, when we couldn't negotiate the contracts, we waited until COVID was over. We just continued to pay out the contract. It's going to be retroactive anyway. So you're going to get a nice check, whatever we decide. Why would we be allowing people with no experience to set the course for the next 4 years of learning? And then, watch this, Princess, want to bring in a superintendent whose hands are tied. Now we're bringing in a superintendent under a contract that he had nothing or she had nothing to do with. And now we're going to expect them to get results when they may have looked at the contract and said, I can't do it with this. I can't. No, you need to negotiate this. We need a professional to tell the board or recommend to the board those professional things. We've had a lawyer and a couple of interim superintendents with no experience. The last I checked, the lawyer doesn't, I don't work for the lawyer. The lawyer works for the board. When you allow the politics to get involved in your educational system, this is what you get. And I've told people since I've been here, your schools are a direct relation to your community. You can blame whoever you want to. Your schools are only your children in your community. So if your schools are bad, you ain't got nobody to look at but yourself. Look at yourself. Whether you have children or not, you're responsible for the governance of your community. All politics are local. Talk about what Trump doing. What your mayor doing? What your board doing? Who are your board members? What are they doing? What decisions are they making that even make any sense? We're not talking about understanding education and stuff. Heck, I've been on the board for almost 8 years. I don't understand education. That's not a requisite. I need to put some people around me that I believe do and have the results and the history and the resume. That's what you do as a board member. You don't need to know. No, that's not a requirement. Now you have to have a college degree to run for the school board. Politics is politics. You can have representation, but your representation better have some common sense. If not, you're going to get whatever you get. And the people can't say anything about it because that's who you elect or don't. So it all goes back to the community. I could keep going.
This is a mind-blowing thing. No, because I did do my research on a teacher to find out that they was not showing up to work. That's why I asked that question, because it is out there. It's definitely public record. And then my thing is, when Mr. Henderson had got removed.
Dr. Henderson.
I'm sorry, Dr.
My
Henderson.
doctor's flower.
Dr. Henderson. Then the young lady that they put in place, which was a principal.
Yes.
Okay. I actually interviewed her when she came to Linda.
Listen, I'm not going to mention her name. People who know.
Right.
And I would say it to her if she was sitting next to me. She applied when we had the interim situation. She wasn't qualified to be the interim superintendent. She applied for the job when we had the superintendent search, and she wasn't qualified. So I asked the board this time when they were putting her in there, I was like, what has changed?
Nothing.
Now, we had people in the district that were qualified. No, but they had a different skin color. And you have to understand something else. And this is just what happened. You call it the race card or whatever. They replaced Dr. Henderson, a black man, with a white woman. They replaced the black principal, a brother at West, with a white woman. They replaced the principal, a male at PMSA. Well, he resigned because of some other stuff, with a white woman. They took and put everybody white in the district again. Dr. Henderson had worked to get some folks like us in there to serve us. The majority of our teachers are white. Now, their studies and research says that children learn better by people that look like them. Princess Dempsey, you won't find a white township anywhere where the majority of their teachers are black. Come on, people. But we think it's okay. And I've had conversations with black folks, Princess, and they want to argue with me. They want to, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with white teachers.
No.
I'm saying, can we get some black folks in here somewhere to determine and deal with our cultural issues and what our children need? So on the administrative level, that's what we did. Because that's what we're dealing with. And for the Latino, the Hispanic population, we're going to consider them too, because that's just what black folks do. If we could find qualified or people to fill those positions when we could find them, we did. Okay, so it wasn't like we just, no, we know that we need some people in here that have experience and knowledge and understanding of what it is to educate a black child. That's it, that's all. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said it. in 1933 that these teachers are not culturally uh, able or culturally educated? He said that in 1933. Their own studies, the governor and Kimberly Lightfoot, Senator Kimberly Lightfoot, came to Proviso East in 2020 or 21 and signed the new bill changing the requirements or for substitute teachers in teaching. And they said at Proviso East, I was standing right there, that we need more black teachers. We need more black teachers. Now, if you got a problem with that, then you just gonna have a problem because nobody has to tell white communities about white teachers. And I'm not listening. The situation is what it is. We don't control who we get hired, but Dr. Henderson and myself went on a campaign to purposely look unapologetically for black teachers. I believe a lot of people had a problem with that because at the end of the day, racism, this is still a racist system. You know, it ain't no individual that can be a racist. No, the bigotry. You know, I've had the three board members. The three black board members have had our pictures xed out in the hallways of school. Yeah, just the three black board members. We've had peanuts thrown at us at board meetings. I've had vitriol and stuff and just all kinds of racist stuff emailed to me and communicated to me. And Dr. Henderson bore the brunt of it. See, these are things folks don't want to talk about in Proviso. Well, Rodney's going to talk about them because this is why you're not able to educate your children. And until you want to be an adult and deal with it, I'm pro-black. I'm a black man. Sorry, but that ain't got nothing to do with taking away from nobody else. I'm not saying don't do this for Latinos. I have voted for everything, sanctuary schools, ELA, everything that these folks need to come up in here, regardless of their immigration status. I've supported. They got to do with me.
But the sad thing about it, Rodney, is that I hear what you're saying, and it's so crazy because the black politicians get behind the white folks against the blacks.
Yes.
Against the blacks. And they don't even understand that they're getting behind them against us. But then I hear them say, we united, we Juneteenth, we have to be black brother, my sisters. But you go against me with a white woman and be sitting up there taking pictures with her like we don't exist.
Listen, the problem has always been and will be unity. If you look at any of our elders, from W.E.B. Du Bois to Booker T. Washington to all of these people, the problem has always been unity. When you look at Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King, the problem in the black community has always been unity. If they can continue to keep us at each other, you can't even see the systemic issues in front of you. Can't even get to them. Can't even get to them. This is a quote from Dr. Claude Anderson's book I want to read. He said, "No people can go forward when the majority of those who should know better have chosen to go backwards. But this is exactly what most of our black misleaders do." So this is what Dr. Claude Anderson said. That ain't Rodney's quote. That's what he said in 2001, 23 years ago. That's what he said. Dr. Carter G. Woodson says similar. Everyone says similar, but you would think in a town like Proviso, township where there's only 10 towns and there's enough of us in positions to work together that we would. Like I said, I've talked to several black mayors. There is one particular mayor that has supported and worked in the vein of us getting something done. And just for purposes of not being personal, I'm not going to mention no names. I'm not even going to mention any towns, but folks know who they are and who I'm talking about. I have no bone. I don't listen. At the end of the day, I love my people. I love the community. Ain't nothing personal in it. I don't care if you don't like me.
Right.
Care less. I didn't come over here for you to like me.
Right.
I came over here to do the job and serve. That's it. Get behind me while I'm doing the job. Now, if you got a problem with the job, I've not gotten one call in my 8 years and said, "Rodney, we got a problem with this or we got a problem with that." The stuff I get calls from is foolishness. And guess what, Princess? I don't even get those calls. I hear about it because they're not even brave enough to call me when they got an issue. I hear about it from other people. Well, so-and-so said this or so-and-so. Really? My number is on my Facebook page.
Right.
My number is on my business, on my card for the district. I live in the community. I'm not hard to find. Pick up the phone and call me. We can talk about it. Crickets. Folks want you to go to the meeting and make a statement and I have a gift of speech. I can speak well. I know that. But at the end of the day, how'd the vote go?
Exactly.
I'm not here to preach to you or entertain you. The vote, we got to get some results. Black folks think every board meeting is church. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not going, it's good for you. It may not taste good,
Mm-hmm.
but judge the work. Judge the work. I had a conversation with a young man today who and he wants to tell me how the board is ineffective and all this stuff, and just tear down the work.
Wow.
Tear down the work, because from where folks on the outside sit,
Exactly.
they don't have a clue as to what you have to deal with to get anything done. I understand the programs and the thrust, and everybody has an opinion as to what's going to fix our school. Roll up your sleeves and run for the board and see how easy it is to get that done.
It's not easy.
No, roll up your sleeve, raise $50,000 to $60,000, of the which the community majority. I've never had to raise a whole lot of money to run for the board at all, nor would I, because I gave up money to run for the board. Go knock on doors and beg people to serve them. But everybody wants to tell you what to do individually. I have 10 towns to be considered of. Not just your idea, not just what you think. I have to weigh that against everything else. And then I got to give it to the superintendent, who's the only professional that can make some educational sense out of it. Rodney wasn't elected to run the school district. Rodney was elected to work with the superintendent and set policy and legislation. That's what your board does. Your board doesn't do day-to-day operations.
Absolutely.
I don't talk to teachers. I don't counsel students.
Absolutely.
No, that's not my job. My job is to work with the superintendent. And with Dr. Henderson, that's what we did. We had a 5-2 board. Now folks complaining about the board being split. Well, y'all elected a split board. We had a board that was united. You had a problem with that.
Right.
And Dr. Henderson, well, we're supposed to. That's our job. If he's competent and he's moving the district forward, why would we go against him? People want to show. They want the whole, because I guess District 209 is just historically used to being a circus.
Well, honestly, it's gotten a circle because elections are coming up. See, people seats are up, and so now they want to see like, well, I care because, and that's what they're doing right now. This is all right now. After the elections die out, you're not gonna see them no more. You're not gonna hear from them. You're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're not gonna be involved as much. It's election season. So now,
I would say though, Princess, after we got elected, and from what Teresa Kelly tells me, it's the first time in the district history we got elected in 2021 unopposed. Nobody ran against us.
I remember I was there.
Nobody ran against us, and they still, and immediately before that, they were attacking, and after that, the attacks just went up, and we had 4 more years to go.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so I don't think it's even. I don't think it's politically driven. I do give place for what you said. Yeah, that's true. That has its place, and it's going to probably get worse as the time gets closer. That's the seasons. But you've got small groups of people in this community that are going to be other than misinformed, miseducated, regardless of the time. Regardless of the time. And we've been trying to put this together for a while. I talk to people. I'm not afraid to talk to nobody. I've shown up at people's garages when they call groups together. I'll talk to anybody. I'm not running from you, because what I'm telling you is just fact.
Exactly.
You can't refute this. The way you want to go about it. We can go from the Bible's perspective. We can go from a historical perspective. We can go from a political perspective. What are you going to say? Because at the end of the day, the data is out there.
Exactly.
The data is out there. So you could disagree with Rodney. But Rodney's standing on the shoulders of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Dr. Claude. I'm not making up this stuff myself. This is stuff that Dr. King said, that Malcolm X said, that Marcus Garvey said, that all of our so-called people that we want to celebrate, this is what they said. This is what Harriet Tubman said. What'd she say? I freed some. I think she freed about 300 slaves. She's like, I could have freed 1,000 if they only knew they were slaves. What was she saying to us then?
They really
were so used to being on the plantation that when you told them they could get free and it would just cost them the risking of their lives, which they doing every day anyway, they ain't want to go. They ain't want to go. And that's one of the struggles of getting Black folks to work together. You got, and it's a struggle. It's a worthwhile struggle, though. I'll go to my grave with that struggle, because we got to do it.
Somebody got to do it, yeah.
We got to do it.
And see, people don't realize that the school boards and libraries, there's unpaid boards. We don't get paid for this. This is just
There's a
passion.
lot. There's a lot of contracts.
Hmm.
There's a lot of money, and I won't say that that goes on in proviso, but I will
Mm.
say that if you elect people that don't necessarily know or have the best interest of the students,
Mm.
everything that Rodney Alexander has done needs to go towards students. I need
Mm.
to say, if I say anything on here that has been done by this board and it doesn't impact or help students, why am I doing it?
Exactly.
Now you got to tell me, this board would have to tell this community how incentivizing teachers that don't come to work is going to help students with no evidence of this ever being effective anywhere, especially not in any school districts that are within the top percentiles in the district. They don't do that. Their contracts don't read that way.
Mm-mm.
Them
I
teachers,
don't
you look at School Digger and you look at your top performing high schools, look at the attendance of their teachers. You see what I'm saying? And that's all we control. We understand the myriad barriers and obstacles that we have to deal with. But I'm not elected to deal with that. I'm elected to deal with what we do at the school board level. Whether the community does its part, whether the other parts of the body do anything, my responsibility is just the arm.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got. I can't deal with the shoulder. I can't deal with the hand. If I'm just the arm, I got to make sure I'm the best arm I can be. Folks want you to be the hand, the shoulder, the back, and that's why things are out of order. There's an order to this thing within
Right.
the community. Dr. Claude Anderson said it this way: your behaviors, your economics, your politics have to be under control. Those three things. He said you got to have those things under control in order to even have a community. If you can't control the way your children behave, if you don't control your economics, you can't control your politics because your economic base determines who you elect, and now they're beholden to you. Thank God, Connie and District 209 never asked me for anything. For all that work they did, Princess, never once called and asked me for anything.
Mm.
See? And these were white people.
Yeah, I know
These
kind
were white people. The majority of them were white people. Now they had to come and get us for some help. They had to come get Teresa Kelly. Don't get it twisted. I don't think it would have been a hard road to hoe without her and her reputation behind it. But the legwork, the work and the dedication that these folks put in, I would get off work from my second job on Sunday. And folks would show up in Bellwood from Forest Park. I didn't even know who they were.
Hmm.
Rodney, I got this side. Who are you? That's how bad they wanted change in
Yeah.
this district, and that's why it came. There was a series of events that happened. There was a what should I call her? There was a crab in the barrel, and when it was time to manifest the link that wasn't working, they chose to go with the link that wasn't working,
Hmm.
and that dissolved our whole political thing that we had going. Because we were strong. We had done exactly what you need to do as a community, as a township. The whole township got behind us. The whole township got behind us when we got elected. It was a really big deal. But it
Mm-hmm.
was based upon honesty and integrity and believing and knowing we could have better schools. And that's what we provided. Now, what the community has done is take us back 8 years by splitting the board again.
Now, do you guys ever pick a superintendent to serve?
No, we've got to they tried to do a superintendent search and it was botched. So we're doing the superintendent search all over again now. So we're still in the process now of trying to find a superintendent. We haven't had one all year. They were in such a hurry to get rid of Dr. Henderson. They should have left him alone until they found someone else.
That's what I was about to say. Why
But
did
they
you leave
hated
him
him. Hey,
alone?
listen, this whole board ran on hating this man. That's all they did. That's all they did. So, and it shows because once they got rid of him, they ain't done nothing else. So we ain't done nothing as a board this year except for spend money. We haven't done one thing. They reversed everything that we did. Summer school was free. Now after May 31st, it's $100. They increased the price of driver's ed. Yeah, this is what your board that just got elected is doing. They increased the price of driver's ed. They voted to raise taxes so that they could give these teachers that don't come to work more money. These are facts. This is what the community voted for. Everything that we were doing to try to keep property taxes down, the 70 something million we got for the facilities master plan, that wasn't a referendum. We got some help financially, was able to do some stuff with some bonds. And with that movement, you got air conditioning, new facilities, and all this stuff with no taxes being raised.
Wow.
But now this board comes in and they bringing in folks from the outside to say, you need to pay your teachers more. Well, we understand that, but we don't pay for poor service. And since it's a union contract, if we could pay teachers individually, a lot of them would be rich because we've got some great teachers. Unfortunately, you have a union, and that union is for people. Unions don't care. Ain't nothing in their contract talking about kids and students and classroom. They talking about money. That's all they talk about. They're not talking about working with us to improve outcomes at all. And we know they're not successful at teaching our students because look at where we are. Union been here longer than me.
Right.
So if they could figure it out, they would have by now. Nothing. And this is what the community gets. Just the facts. Just the facts. You could bring somebody else on. We could have a conversation, go back and forth. They ain't got nothing to say to Rodney. They ain't got nothing to say to me because they know I'm telling the truth.
Absolutely.
And,
that's why you're on the show.
You're right. And this is what you need your representatives to do. Tell you the truth. There's nothing. Look, they can't do nothing to me. My check does not say Department Illinois Proviso Township. What they gonna do to me for telling the truth? I'm just telling the truth. And the people will never be able to say to me once I'm gone from here, I'm in the store, whatever. Rodney, what? I told you that.
Exactly.
I told you that.
And you've been listening. You're telling you the truth. You don't want to.
Years, right. For 10 years, I with PT Man and on the school board as president, I sat in the middle of the table and told you there's no black and brown coalition. There's nothing that we're working on together. Stop saying that. Stop trying to hijack our oppression, brown people, to use it. We got you, but you're not about to sit here and disrespect what we've gone through. Our causes are not aligned. We are not on the same sheet of music doing anything. I understand what y'all trying to do and we can help y'all. But you don't have to do that. It's insulting when we allow people to do that. And you don't want to, and you're not going to open your mouth and say anything. Well, Rodney's going to say something. There's no black and brown anything. What are we working together on? Nothing. Where's the coalition? The coalition for what? Everybody hitches their horse to our wagon. And then when they get to where they're going, they unhitch it. We got the wagon still. So they're going to pull us as long as it's getting them somewhere. And then once they get to where they're going, the wagon gets unhitched. Ain't nobody standing with us. What did Dr. Henry Clark say? The black man has no friends. And that's okay. I'm not looking for any. We don't even like each other. So how are we going to have some friends outside when we can't work together? And you got people that think that because they got, and I understand it, that you got a white face in a black place, and that makes you feel comfortable. That makes you feel like you've assimilated, that you're accepted now, until you start seeing their policies and how they govern, and now you want to be mad. Rodney could have told you that. Rodney was telling you that from the moment he got over here. And nothing against those people. They're in the same system. The system just happens to be theirs. It just happens to be their system. They don't know too much more than we do. They go to the same schools we do. They just don't have to because it's their system. See, we have to know how to navigate this system because it wasn't created for us or by us. So we got to know how to navigate it. They don't. It was created for them, by them. So they reap the benefits of it, whether they do something or not. The only time we reap the benefits of it is when we stood together in history and linked arms and decided that we're going to move. We ain't got to agree on everything, but we're going to agree that lynching is wrong. We ain't got to agree on everything. We're going to agree that segregated schools is wrong. We don't have to agree on everything, but we're going to agree that me having to sit in the back of the bus where my money is just as green as yours is wrong. See, those are types of movements where we come together because guess what? It's coming down your street if it hasn't. I don't know no black person in this country that hasn't been affected by bigotry or racism. We live subconsciously with it, but scared to talk about it. And ain't nobody no victim. We are way less than victims because we still here. So if we were victims, we would be in worse situations than we are in 2024. We're a miracle. We're a miracle, but we need to be a miracle and figure this thing out before it's exponentially too late because there's another group coming and we know who that is to push us further down the run. While we sit back and pontificate and all stuff. Look, if the plan is working, work the plan.
Absolutely.
We need black faces in black places to deal with black people. It's okay. They do it. The Chinese do it. They got what? They got Chinatown. They got Humboldt Park. They got Little Village. They got Pilsen. Don't nobody say they need to integrate. Don't nobody say they need to have them. No. Every group in this city, especially in Chicago, goes for themselves. But then look at our communities. Look at our communities. Look at Lawndale. Look at Inglewood. Look at Roseland. Look at these hex. Just look at Proviso Township. We got towns that are food deserts. In 2024. And it's not that the mayors are not working again. The mayors that we have now are working to address that. I'm not saying that. This was before they got here too. This is 2024, and we ain't even got a decent grocery store to send our people to. All this money we spending now, where's it going? And why can't we teach our children to read? What's wrong with us, people? Who we waiting to come and teach our children to read? Who we coming to teach our children how to behave? Whose job is that? People want to say, well, it's the school's job. Well, you gave us the short stick because 9 years before they got to us, you expect us to do what in 4?
Right.
We only got 4 years.
Right.
Where was this urgency in the 3rd grade? Where was this urgency in the 4th and 5th? Where was this urgency anywhere within those 9 years? And now there's an urgency. I gave this analogy one time as the board president. So I was trying to figure it out, and it hit me in my own home. The wife came in one day, and she had bought Junior a pair of gym shoes. And she said, you know, your son's wearing a size 12 now. And it hit me because he was just in a 10 and a half, right? So I was like, whoa, what happened? And so I'm thinking, I'm sitting at the board table, and I was about to give the president's report. And I was like, oh, now I understand the urgency. I told him, Princess, I was like, listen, you know, our children just spurred up. You look at them one day, and the next day they got hairs on their face, the voice is deepened, and they're in the house, but you don't pay attention. And I was like, so I understand that, you know, we got these parents and caregivers looking at their children and talking to the children, and you look up one day and the voice is deep. And you look up one day and Junior got facial hair. Or you look up one day and baby girl got her cycle, and things are changing and they're maturing, and you got to change the bra size. You got to do all these things. And then guess what? You send them to the store and they can't count.
Right.
You realize that their reading is not where it's supposed to be. But guess what? They only got a year or 2 left before they're going to be an adult. So now there's an urgency because you realize that for the last so many years of their lives, you've not done what needs to be done.
Right.
And here they come knocking on our door,
right,
and help us fix this. It's y'all fault. We got to get the language. We got to get the history right. And we
exactly. No, I wanted to say to the viewers, because we are getting people, if you guys want to ask questions, again, go ahead and ask the questions. My producers will get it right over to me. You can like and subscribe to these videos. This is Mr. Rodney Alexander, board member of District 209, and myself, Princess Dempsey. I just want to say that because they're trying to ask questions. Some of them give me
that's good.
and we want them to ask questions. Now, my next thing with you is, what are we doing about the fighting in the districts with the students?
You know, that's a good one. In my experience on the board, when we've had the right principals, that's a matter of personnel. You need the right principal. You got to put, Dr. Henderson taught us this. You got to have the right people in the right place, and you can deal with any issue, because these are still children.
Right.
These are still children, and they're still impressionable. So we're not giving up on any children, and we're not ever saying we can't come up with it. But from what I've seen, when we've had the right principals, in the right buildings, things change.
Yes.
Because these children are only going to do, rightfully so, like we did, what we know we can get away with. I don't care what you come up in here with. If the culture and climate and the norms of this building is not that, you're going to conform, or there's another part of this process that we'll deal with you on.
Absolutely.
But when you talk about fights and things of that nature, I don't really. I don't know, because we don't ask the kids to fight.
Right.
We don't have a karate dojo or a boxing ring in the schools. So that means they come to us with these issues, and then folks look around for the system to raise or fix your child's behavior. But guess what? That child lives on a block.
Exactly.
And in our community, there's probably a church that's not too far from it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you asking a school board and elected official about some child fighting? That's a community issue. Once again, accountability and responsibility. Now we have to deal with it once it's inside our walls. But if you want to ask me what needs to be done about it, folks need to get control of their children. The community needs to wrap its arms around our children again, because we know systemically it wasn't always this way. You
Mm-mm.
can't push this one too far on the
Mm.
system and say, well, because of the white man. No, no, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no.
no.
Not with this one.
Not this one.
Because when we went to school, if
Baby.
you messed up, it
Baby.
was heck to pay. See, there was some accountability, some stuff that was going to happen, and we just knew how to be. So we have to trace down to which generation dropped the ball with the raising of their children. What were the obstacles and barriers that helped them to do that, and just deal with it. But every Sunday, there shouldn't be a church in this country that got a black preacher not talking about how children need to behave, not creating and providing the social constructs and things that need to help these single moms and
Mhm.
grandmothers and even nuclear families to get their children to behave, creating the programs to teach the little
Mhm.
young ladies to be young ladies and get them off of Instagram, to teach the
Right.
young men to be young men and get them off of Instagram and Facebook Live. And these are community issues. They're not
Mm.
system issues. There's no elected system that is there to teach you morality and value. The systems are there to deal with you if you don't comply.
Mhm.
They're there to deal with you if you don't comply. We create legislation and stuff that should be pro student. I'm very leery to create any type of legislation or policy to adversely affect a student because that's a holistic thing. And if we're just looking at the outward behavior without anything in place to deal with the cause, we're part of the problem.
Right.
We're part of the problem. So you have to deal with that realistically, unless you just want to start throwing children away. Now that ain't about to fix the problem. That's about to make it worse.
Right.
We're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But let's talk about accountability. We've
Who's
had a
gonna take them
parent,
anyway?
huh?
Who's gonna take our kids anyway?
Nobody,
No,
us,
you take
and,
them.
and where they gonna go? Because they can't go out there. They go out to DuPage County if they want to.
The
That's gonna
parents
be a
ain't gonna
short.
play
That's
with
gonna be a short visit. But so you're gonna stay in our community, victimizing us, and
them.
the mama is screaming out for help. The kid is screaming out for help, but we don't have the people in place to provide those types of services. Now, I want to give a plug
Hmm.
uh, to PLCCA.
Hmm.
I've been watching PLCCA before I even lived. When I first moved over here in '94 to Forest Park, I ran into Maywood because I didn't know nothing about the West Side. And when I moved to Maywood a few years later and found out what PLCCA does and provides, that's that we've got everything that we need right there. The counseling, the child care, the grant right, the providing of bills, service, real things that people need. They pay people's electric bills and gas bills in the wintertime. They partner with the government to get the resources that the community needs. That's what you have to have. You have to have a hub like that in the black community to provide those services. I need to have affordable daycare so that the mothers can go to work that are single and stuff. These are the realities that we deal
But
with.
is PLCCA only designed for Maywood, or is it designed for Melrose Park? Is it designed for Forest
They
Park?
deal with they deal with, from what I understand, is Proviso Layton County. So they deal with not only Proviso, but they also deal with they're also dealing with the whole township and other people. So you can come from just about anywhere, from what I understand. But it's Proviso's right there on Fifth and Madison. It's beautifully positioned. And Princess, here's my thing. And I told Bishop Claude and Bishop Sappho this. These men, everybody got something to say. You know, I've heard the politics and all. Everybody got something to say. But these are brothers that have given their life to provide for us. And all we can think to do is try to find faults and flaws. They did it to Jesus, so you know we ain't exempt. But they also did it to Martin. They did it to Mount. But we the ones that lead that stuff.
Yeah.
You got PT Man, Bishop Sappho. They provide a platform every month for you to come and find out not only stuff that's going on in Proviso, but Cook County. There's no reason why every preacher in the township should not be there to get that information and take these real resources, real blessings back to your congregations.
But they're divided too, so
Once again, my point. You got And I don't know why Brandon Johnson. I mean, bless you for coming out to our meeting. You in Chicago. We don't vote for you. You don't vote for us. You got everybody from the mayor to the governor, whoever, the Chris Welch, Kimberly, the who's who of Illinois politics comes to PT Man, consults with PT Man. So we have the structure that we need as far as a link from the community to Springfield, a link from the community to these. That's what we need. That's what Dr. Claude Anderson says we need. Now you have to have the unity of purpose to do something with that. It's one thing to come and hear them talk, but it's one thing to come with a plan and an ideology of what we need from Springfield. I talked to and Chris Welch's name. That's my brother. I ain't got no problems with Brother Welch. Whatever the community says about, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's my brother. When we needed something at Proviso, while I've been on this board, Brother Chris Welch has provided it. When we needed something in Proviso, since I've been on this board, Senator Kimberly Lightford has provided it. Karen Yarborough, rest in peace, provide. So I've not had any of these other than experiences with any politicians in this township because I don't politic. See, I don't politic. So if I stay in my lane, I'm going to see in your, like I said, I'm the arm. So if I got to go to the shoulder, I'm going to go to the shoulder. Well, Rodney, what you doing as the arm? Well, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I need the shoulder to move my arm because I can't move my arm. So if you the shoulder, I'm gonna move my arm's ready to go, but you got to move it for me. And when you approach folks that way, I think it works. But then people want you to do a whole lot of stuff that's outside your purview, and you got to be careful of that too. I call it staying in your lane. It's real easy as a politician to get out your lane and get to talking out the side of your mouth about stuff that you got to be real with people. No, I can't do that. I don't have the votes. The board's not going to support that. You got to talk to so-and-so and so-and-so about that. Yeah, I'll support it, but I'm one board member. It's not going to work that way. And when you elect a split board, it's a wonder that you get anything done. It's not going to happen because there's politics now involved in the educational process. We didn't have that. We didn't have that for the first 2 terms I was in. We just got it this last election. But the first one, and we didn't agree on everything, but we were still able to move because we were all there for the students.
Right.
That's hard enough. When you got people that all ran under the same ticket, it's still hard to get it done. Imagine getting it done when you got people that don't run together, that don't want to work together.
So are you going to consider running this next election?
Yeah, I'll probably run.
Because we still need you there, Rodney. We still
work
still has to be done.
Unless the Lord says different. I'm telling people that I'm not. Because
my show goes viral, so
right. I'm telling people that I'm not. But yeah, I listen. I'm going to run until the Lord says not to, because this is the work. This is the work, and we've had brothers give their lives to move their people. A little inconvenience for me, a little bit of money. That's not much to ask.
Right.
That's not much to ask. My fraternity motto is culture for service, service for humanity, and we serve. We serve.
Well, I like that, and I like the information that you've given me, and I definitely am proud. Of you. Of course, I always tell you, my brother from my mother, and you do the work, and you do, and you are very honest. Because ever since I met you, you've always been honest with me.
Yeah, just tell the truth.
And that's what I tell everybody. When I tell the truth, they always say either I'm messy or I'm like, how's I'm messy, but I'm telling the truth.
Right.
They just don't like the way sometimes I present it, and maybe you might not like my presentation because I'm passionate about what I'm saying.
Right.
But at least one thing for sure and one thing for certain is the truth. And sometimes you got to look at the truth and analyze, hey, they wasn't doing bad. Hey, they wasn't, you see what I'm saying? And go for that. But when you try to, every time they trying to, they're whipping you on your back, and you know what I'm saying? And I understand because I've been there. I've been doing it. Oh, she's just really messy. You don't want to be with Princess Dempsey. Princess Dempsey has told the truth. Princess Dempsey don't back down and have stood the ground.
That's it. That's it.
We
can't get caught up. Listen, we don't have time.
Ain't got time.
I tell us all the time, we think we have the luxury because we over here, and the West Side is over there. We've been lulled into some way of thinking that we've arrived and that we have the luxury to do what we see other people do until it comes down our street, and they're constantly showing us that you are still a Black person in this country.
Well, they're constantly showing us that. They make sure to let us know, hey, at the end of the day, you're still African American.
And then we're reactionary to where we want to get together always after somebody has died after somebody has been mistreated, if we can't understand the playbook that's being ran on us by now, we deserve what we're getting. There's nothing new. They're running the same playbook,
Same way.
and we still falling for it. It's like knowing the doggone deck is stacked, knowing the dice are loaded, and you still gonna roll them. Why are you still rolling with their dice and you don't have to? We can get our own dice. We can get our own dice game. We don't even need to talk. No, 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 no. If they're not bringing anything to the table, and if they do bring something to the table, they can't lead it. They can't lead it for us. When has that ever worked? When has any government entity or system in this country led by someone other than us ever worked for us? I'll wait. It's only when we're in charge with the right leadership and the right vision and the right unity and togetherness, we move.
Exactly.
Those are just facts. That's not made up. That's not conspiracy.
No.
Anything that we've accomplished primarily majority together.
Absolutely.
That's it. When we're separate, we don't move. We don't move.
You know, I thank you so much for coming on my show. It's been a long time coming.
Yes.
You're always welcome to come back. You know,
anytime.
Some information I would definitely like you to share with my viewers.
Yeah.
I just want to, again, thank you so much. And any last comments you want to say? Anything? Any last comments?
I just want to thank you for providing the platform. Like I said, it's a privilege and an honor to serve. I call it my joyful burden, to serve in a capacity that's larger than yourself. It is such a beautiful thing to be able to read the history and in your time create some type of history for your people. And it's a privilege. I wouldn't change anything. It's frustrating, it's aggravating, but nothing is of worth which doesn't meet the test of purposeful living.
Absolutely.
If it's not costing you something, it ain't worth nothing.
That's that again.
The struggle is real. There's no hacks. There's no shortcuts. You got to go through it.
Absolutely.
Somebody once said, when you're going through hell, sister, just keep going. So I appreciate you going through hell with me, allowing me to burp you, to get a drink of water on the way.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Going.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rodney Alexander.
Appreciate you, sister, anytime.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. I thank you so much for tuning in. That was Mr. Rodney Alexander, a school board member from District 209. Again, if you want to be a guest on the show, you can email us at Princess Dempsey show@yahoo.com. You can do Cash App, to fund the show. You can also subscribe and like it. But we just want to make sure that you are educated as voters when you're going into these races. And I'm going to have other candidates or other people who's our elected officials on the show to hear their side of it. But remember, there's two sides, really three sides. It's your side, their side, and really the truth. And he was bringing some truth that they all ran together with District 209 together, and now that board is separate. Now it's rice, it's like water and oil. And then you have elected officials who's not in the school, who doesn't sit on that board, wants to participate in the board meetings and wants to get angry, but yet still they supported the other opposite side that's splitting up the board. So we got to be careful how we're voting and who we're listening to. Like I said, if you got a question with Rodney Alexander, he said call him. He's only a phone call away. All righty, this is your girl, Princess Dempsey. It's been nice. See you next week. Peace and hair grease. Have a good day.